Hi, I'm Joe Gerdes, and this is Coffee in the Capitol.
Our guest today is State Representative Sheryl Delozier, representing the 88th Legislative District in Cumberland County, and has been in the Pennsylvania House since 2008. She currently serves as the Minority Caucus Administrator. Representative, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Joe. Glad to be here.
So, Representative, we're at the beginning of the few months in, I guess, of the 23-24 legislative session. Already have a lot of historic firsts in the House and Senate. Senator Kim Ward is the President pro tempore. Joanna McClinton is the Speaker of the House. Austin Davis is our new Lieutenant Governor. Not to mention, we've got over 50 new members of the legislative body. Yes. Which really makes it interesting for the beginning of the Shapiro administration. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think the legislature, how it's going to come together, and how interesting is it going to be to see how this body politic works over the next few months?
Well, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and always glad to talk about what's happening over here in this island of Harrisburg that sometimes we feel like we are. But yes, we have a lot of firsts, as you mentioned, and it's great that some glass ceilings have been broken, and that's always a good thing. This is Women's History Month, so it's February or March. I'm trying to catch up with the calendar. March is, so we get to tout that. And some of those firsts where we have our first, as you said, first female speaker, as well as pro tem over in the Senate, two great ladies that certainly have worked hard, and it's great to see them in positions that they can have authority, and they'll do a great job, I'm sure. So with the House setting up, we are absolutely very, very tight. We only have a one-person difference. You know, in and of itself, we'll get going on hopefully some policy discussions.
Thanks, Sheryl. And one of the big pieces is obviously the governor's budget. And recently, Governor Shapiro presented the legislature his proposed budget for the 23-24 fiscal year, and now it moves into the deliberative process. And you used to serve on the House Appropriations Committee, so you kind of know what's going to go on. What should we expect over the next couple months?
Well, I love the appropriations process, but that I'm the kind of the policy geek that likes that kind of stuff. So I like digging in to find out, that budget is huge, and that there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to the state budget. The governor put forward some ideas that I do like. He proposed, talking about criminal justice reform, which has been one of my issues that I think is very, very important. Dealing with probation reform, I think that's something that we do need. We need to get everybody on the same page because that has a cost. It comes back. It's not a cost in people's lives. It's a cost in our budget with corrections. Education, a huge court decision that came down. That's going to be a very, very large, nut to crack when it comes to what did the courts mean by that? Because a lot of people have different views on what that meant. So that'll be interesting. Our children and our education budget are, the third biggest part of our budget. We have corrections being a large part. We have our human services being a large part. He paid for 4 extra trooper classes and is supporting our law enforcement, which I very much support. He recognizes the hard job that our teachers, our nurses, and our police have, all service industry, all needed, and ones that are all hurting right now. So I think there's some good things in this budget. I think he spent too much. I think he spent a lot of dollars that we aren't going to see. And that makes it difficult for the taxpayer. So we're going to have that back and forth, but that's not unusual. I will say, and I think it's a better budget than Governor Wolf ever proposed. Governor Wolf always had much higher spending thresholds and much higher the moving parts. And so I think Governor Shapiro will absolutely be more involved in the process. He was a House member. He's been a part of this process in his past. He understands that. And so I do believe that we'll see a little bit work with both sides of the aisle, House and Senate. But also I think that he really does want to see something get done timely. He wants to see something get done that he can be proud of, and for his first year too. So I think he's under pressure as well. So I think that's a good thing.
Right. And as you mentioned, it's well over a $44 billion budget proposal. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
And hopefully the goal is to get it over the finish line by the end of the state's fiscal year, which ends June 30th and begins July 1. So what are your thoughts on local government, how it's important to our Commonwealth?
Our local officials, they make a lot of hard decisions. They work hard for their communities. They put their names on the ballot, really to where the rubber hits the road. So it truly is, we can pass state laws, and a lot of times when they actually come to being within the local government, having to enforce them, having to abide by them, that input and everything else, really that local input is what drives a lot of the public policy that we do here at the state. But our local officials, all of which, like I said, are on the ballot. We have our commissioners on the ballot. We have our township supervisors, our township commissioners. Everybody is, up. So our local folks should really be talking to each other, and our constituents, reaching out to our local officials, and like I said, get involved in your local government. That's where a lot of your decisions that affect your everyday lives happen. There's so many committees people need help with, in Lower Island Township. So we have our planning commission, we have our Parks and Rec, we have our sewer commission, we have all these things that people don't really think about, but we need good people to serve on these entities in order to make our local government work. So I admire the folks that step up and want to serve at our local level, because absolutely I rely on them when we're doing state policy, because they know the local level and they know how it affects them and how it affects all of our constituents. So they're a great sounding board. I always come to you guys to ask and say, hey, how is this going to affect our townships? How is this going to affect our local government? And so I always appreciate that feedback, and we can't do it without our local officials, helping us out.
It's a great point, Sheryl. And thank you for that interaction and coming to PSATS when you have those questions. We really appreciate the communication. Well, that's all the time we have for Coffee in the Capitol today. Representative, thank you so much for sharing some time with us.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us on Coffee in the Capitol this month. Remember, if you like what you're seeing, email tvn@psats.org. Also, be sure to subscribe to PSAT's YouTube channel. Hit the bell button for notifications, follow our social media pages, and head over to the TVN page at psats.org for more township video news content. As always, thanks for watching.